Hey, everybody. Welcome into Late Night Baseball. I'm Anthony. That's Parker. We're here every week, two dudes talking ball. Today, we have quite a jam-packed evening for everybody. Parker is going to talk about his Savannah Bananas experience. We're going to talk some softball here on Late Night Baseball. And I got to do a wellness check on Parker because the Red Sox are going through it. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Parker, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Like you mentioned, managed to take the kids to a Savannah Bananas game. Um, we'll get to that later. I don't really have any comments, but I was able to pick up a new lid at the game.
Nice.
And then yeah, also got some thoughts on my Sox like I always do. I give an update on the Sox. They don't play today, but we are rolling into the first Yankees series starting
Ooh.
tomorrow, probably today as you guys listen to this, if you're listening on release day. So yeah, definitely stuff going on. It's good though. Having fun.
Good, good. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. I'm sorry, everyone, that my background is seemingly went from super awesome jam pack to nothing. I'm still working on my studio. It's taken us 2 weeks to get this crap done. I'm hoping next week, Parker, I have something. It doesn't look like I'm just like hanging out in a dungeon. It's ridiculous.
Dungeon. Yeah, no, you're good, dude. You're good. I mean, I got a boring background now too, so
No, it's much better than I have some gray, brown going on here. If anyone knows anything about me, I like to be color coordinated and drive me absolutely bananas. But before we get into just a lot of stuff, honestly, I mean, we're getting to June here. And if anyone who follows baseball knows, once we get into June, I just feel like we just get hit with shit left and right. And we're not even going to
Mhm.
be able to talk about all of it today. But what I want to do is just take the temp and figure out what's going on around the league, things that are going to pique in our interest right now. And Parker, I want to start with my White Sox.
Yeah, we
It
got some
was
news
a
today.
significant day. Okay, I don't even know how to start with this, but there's a couple things. First one, the least important thing, but still big. Kyle Teal has been called up to the White Sox. Very excited about that. Of course, Parker, he was part of that Garrett Crochet trade and was number 5 or 6 in the top prospect list for the Red Sox when he
Oh
was
yeah.
traded. Parker, he's an all around real solid catcher. He's one of those catchers you don't find too often nowadays where the defense is there, and also he's got a solid above average hit tool.
Yeah, no, I was excited about Kyle Teal when he got drafted first round by the Red Sox in 2023. Out of the University of Virginia. Absolutely loved him. First of all, I'm from Virginia. Grew up a Virginia Tech fan, so not a big Virginia Cavaliers fan, but it was nice to see somebody from the home state get drafted to my team. Of course, I'd make the same trade for Garrett Crochet 10 times out of 10. But I
Yeah.
am really excited to see that not only did Kyle Teal go and find a new home in Chicago, but he also like kind of mashed at Charlotte and is able to like fill a need and get some big league playing time. I genuinely think that if it wasn't for like service time manipulation and the ability to make guys a super two kind of guy, he
Mhm.
probably would have been somebody he's probably competitive for the opening day roster at the very least. Um, but it is really cool to see him already contributing at the big league level, at least already called up and getting reps at the big league level, especially for a catcher, somebody who has to build up a reputation and a rapport with the pitching staff. I mean, it's perfect timing for him. So good for him. Really excited. And now that means that I think so. You guys got 4 pieces, 3 main ones in that trade, and the only one of the main 3 to not be up already is the guy who was drafted last year out of college, Braden Montgomery. So
Yeah.
it's already working for you guys. And like you said, I think last show that we did together, like Chase Maidro's a beast. He's awesome.
Love him. Yeah, I'm a huge Mydroth stan. He's becoming my favorite player on the White Sox. But Kyle Teal is going to be exciting, Parker, because I mean, I think we've talked about it before. Catcher is just one of those positions where it's really hard to find a really just above average catcher all around. And he's the guy that's bringing the defense. I mean, at AAA, you're right. He's mashing. He had a 131 WRC plus at AAA this
Mm-hmm.
year for a catcher. If you have a
Yeah.
catcher at 130 plus, 131 WRC plus, those are hard to come by. So I'll take that every day. Um,
Yeah, it's 295, 394, 492 for an
whew,
886 OPS for Chase Maidroth, or not Chase
golly.
Maidroth, Kyle Teal for the Charlotte Knights of the International League. So good for him.
Oh, good stuff. But Parker, the biggest news out of Chicago today is something that has got us White Sox fans real giddy. And it's honestly significant for all of baseball because one of the
Mm-hmm.
oldest, most tenured owners in baseball, Jerry Reinsdorf, who owns the White Sox, has reached essentially an investment agreement with Justin Ishbia. And if you don't know the Ishbia name, his brother actually owns the Phoenix Suns
Mm-hmm.
and the women's Phoenix. I'm blinking on their name, but it's the WNBA team in Phoenix. Help me out. I'm not even
I
know what
don't
their name
know.
is.
Let me look.
But um, as Parker's looking that up, that is a wealthy,
Mercury,
very
Phoenix
rich
Mercury.
family. Boom, Phoenix Mercury. So that family owns those two Phoenix basketball teams, and I'm just going to say this, Parker. The best thing I can say about this is, it, you know, it's Jerry Reinsdorf has been a thorn on the side of White Sox fans for 40 years, right? I mean, he took
Yeah.
over the team in 1981, and this is a guy, for people who don't know too much about him, you got to understand. He is as frugal and backwards as they come when it comes to building a team. This is a guy
Mm-hmm.
who, in a changing baseball landscape, has not changed with the times and thinks it's still 1985 and you can run a team that way. It's let's just be honest. I'll be honest. As a White Sox fan, the 2005 World Series was a kind of a, light in a pan sort of World Series. Everyone had a career year, right? I mean, it wasn't they were building something. It just kind of
No.
stumbled
Yeah.
upon it. And Jerry
Against a
Reinsdorf
heavily
is,
favored Astros team that was built
yes,
to win right at that moment.
yes. Absolutely. So I don't even want to give Reinsdorf credit for that. And so, as you've seen, as these years have gone by, they've kind of put these White Sox teams together and they've had kind of success here and there. But the problem has always been that he didn't want to invest in the product like other owners do. Now, Parker, the plan is that Ishbia can go ahead and purchase the team over the next several years from Jerry Reinsdorf, and
It's
eventually
almost
it
like
is
a
very
mortgage
likely.
situation.
That's exactly right. Now, here's what I want to actually share. This is pretty significant, and this is what gets me excited about this more than anything. What gets me most excited is when you look at kind of the language and what they're talking about with what they're calling a a long-term investment agreement, which
Mm-hmm.
means that Ishbia can actually start taking control as early as 2029 through 2033 at any one of those years. But here's the most important thing. Starting in 2025 and 26, Ishbia will pay down existing debt and support ongoing team operations with capital infusions that will also
Mm-hmm.
come from not only Justin Ishbia, but also from the father, Jeff, and the brother who owns those Phoenix teams, Matt. So for me, Parker, man, I'm so freaking excited. This team is going to get an infusion of cash. Hopefully that means added payroll. I'm not asking them to spend 200 million next year, but like anything, like this is the time where finally it's going to turn around as far as what the White Sox put in this team. I'm fucking pumped.
Yeah, no, you know what's funny is this retroactively justified us going to a Phoenix Suns game when we went the night you flew in to Phoenix when we went down for spring training. But I want to point out because the Phoenix Suns connection is not nothing. It is emblematic of a way more fan forward, fan centric approach to running a sports franchise. Because what did the Phoenix Suns just do over the last couple years, over the last off season and into the NBA season as it currently stands? They took concessions. They stopped the contracted outsourcing of concessions that we see so prevalent throughout professional sports. And they started selling. What did we eat when we went to the Phoenix Suns game? I ate like 8 hot dogs and spent a grand total like $20 on.
Yes.
They're selling $2 hot dogs. They're selling like $1 sodas, $1 popcorn. They are very, very, very fan centric and fan forward. So it's like, cool. This is the kind of environment I want to be owning a Major League Baseball team, let alone one of my best friends' Major League Baseball teams. Like, this is the type of person that absolutely belongs in the South Side of Chicago. This is a family that I hope becomes way more involved in the operations of the team as a whole. Spend some money, capital investment. You know that if they're pouring money into this team over the next 5, 6, 7, 40, 50 years. They're going to want that money to go toward success on the field, because all that's going to do is drive up the quality of their investment. This is what we see from owners when they first purchase a team. The ultimate example is, of course, Steve Cohen, but we've seen it when the Red Sox were sold back in the early 2000s. Owners will buy, even a new ownership group will come in, buy the team, and start pouring money in order to drive up the value of their investment. It's a very easy way for them to make paper profits very quickly on an investment in a sports team. And so I'm really excited to see a reinvestment, a reinvigoration for success for the Chicago White Sox. I hope they keep Chris Getz on board, and I hope that this entire organization sees a radical move towards sustained success and capital infusion immediately upon this deal. At this point, Jerry Reinsdorf's foot is now officially out the door. Like, over the last offseason, we saw him try to sell the team. It didn't really work. Well, now his foot is officially starting to creep out the door. And I think that now is the time where you're going to start seeing that investment from this new ownership group.
It's very exciting. I've always thought about, what Chicago sports means to Chicago fans. And I'm obviously very biased, but I will come out and say with a valid argument that Chicago is one of the best sports cities in the world. And you think about the history, right? The Bears, charter franchise of the NFL, the Cubs, a charter franchise in the National League, and the White Sox, a charter franchise in the American League. To have the investments in these teams, especially the White Sox, that has been lacking for so many decades, is so deserved for Chicago fans and makes Chicago the sports city that it really is. Finally.
I'm so excited for you, man. That's so freaking cool. That's so cool. And then, this is the perfect time, because look at this crop of young guys you got coming up.
Yeah.
You got Kyle Teal, Braden Montgomery's coming up. Chase Mydroth made his debut. You got some great young arms in your system. Now all you need is for those guys to debut over the next, 2, 3, 4 seasons, right around the time when the Ishbias go ahead and fully take over operations of the team and just sign a couple key free agents, and we could see a very successful White Sox team in the near future.
I was telling my wife the other day, I said, do we renew our season tickets next year? Do we take a couple years off? I don't think that's going to happen.
There you go. There you go. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
All right. I had to get my White Sox fix out of the gate, but Parker, like I said, a lot going on in baseball right now. But I want to talk about the best record in baseball. Parker, if I would have told you in March that the Detroit Tigers would have the best record in baseball, you would have looked at me silly.
I would have looked at you and said, what are you talking about? I picked the Royals to win the division, so that's what's going to happen.
Get out of here.
I think we both had the Tigers in second, though, right?
I'm pretty sure we did. Wait, no. You were the Royals guy. I was the Tigers guy. Remember?
Oh, yeah. Damn it. Okay, never mind. No. I think you got that backwards, man. I don't know what to talk about. Your White Sox have clearly already played the Tigers, and you get to see them more frequently than I do. But in the trip that the Red Sox made to Detroit, you're watching good baseball. You're watching a team that's very much firing on all cylinders. There's not really a weak spot in the lineup, and not even this is not a murderer's row. This is not a 90s, early 2000s Yankees lineup. This is a lineup with a lot of very solid players that are playing very solid baseball. Oh, and it doesn't hurt that you have the best pitcher on planet Earth at the top of your rotation, who looks like he's just going to run away with another American League Cy Young Award. And the only person I think really that I would put up there is Garrett Crochet, because he leads in innings and strikeouts right now. But Tarek Skubal's an insane pitcher. In case you didn't get a chance to see it, I made a video about him pretty recently.
Hey.
But yeah, no, the Detroit Tigers, and the craziest part about it to me is they're going to get better. They have people coming back. They have Parker Meadows coming back. Okay, now the team just gets better. You don't need Javi Baez to continue to be have the hot start that he's had this season. You just can get that production from elsewhere, and there's just enough depth in this roster that I still can't count the Guardians out. I'm ready to give up on the Royals. I think not in the sense that they won't make the playoffs, but as far as the division
Sure.
goes, winning the division, I still just really can't count out the Guardians until they prove that they're just not going to do it, and I don't think they have yet. But yeah, no, the Tigers out of nowhere, best team in baseball.
You know, it, based on record, yes, best team in baseball. But I want to go through this stat for a moment. I know, folks, I always go to weighted runs created plus, but guess what? Runs win ball games. So
Mm-hmm.
weighted runs created plus for this team. I'm going to go right down 1 through 9. Check this out. 199, 131, 128, 138, 134, 108, 126, 122, 70. Only one player is under 100. Everyone is healthily over 100. That is insane. I don't know that
That is
there's
a
any other team that has
absolute.
that
That
going.
is a murderer's row lineup. Like that is
Yes.
crazy to face. There is not a weak spot in it.
Wow. I mean, I'm just shocked. I mean, the pitching's clicking. Javi Baez is like a reborn man. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. He's a big part of this, but
Yep.
the AL Central is definitely shaping out to be something that it either will go down to the wire or Detroit will continue to separate themselves. Right now, they are a healthy 6 games ahead of the Guardians. Guardians and Twins are actually tied for second,
Mm-hmm.
and then behind are the Royals. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I'll tell you what, Parker. Tigers are having really good days, even though they just lost 2 of 4 to my very own White Sox. It was a good week. The Diamondbacks, Parker, they're struggling. Corbin Burnes, man, got hurt,
Oh
and it was
man.
the worst time for it.
Yeah. So Corbin Burnes was making a start. In case anybody missed what was going on, Corbin Burnes made a start, and let me see. It's in this article. I have it pulled up. If you haven't read the article on Fangraphs by Ben Clemens, can the Diamondbacks survive rotation troubles? It makes some really good points about the fact that the Diamondbacks had a really high expectation ceiling coming into this season.
Mm.
And up to this point, the pitching just kind of has not been what we had thought, hoped, and wanted it to be to this point in the season. Zac Gallen, I mean, a 4.54 FIP is not what I want to be seeing from Zac Gallen.
No.
And Brandon Pfaadt has been frankly, a dumpster fire this season so far for a guy where the expectations on him were where they were at the beginning of the season. Brandon Pfaadt has completely kind of just fallen apart at the beginning stages of this season. And if Corbin Burnes goes down, because Corbin Burnes was pitching relatively well at a slow start, but he was nails all the way up until the injury. 4 starts leading up to the injury, he had a 31% strikeout rate, 2.19 ERA, and 2.67 FIP. He's been great, but if he's gone, you don't have production coming from anywhere else in this lineup. And that is a huge problem for a team that some people had making it to the NLCS or even to the World Series, depending on if they had a good NLCS. So, like, I just don't see a world where, like, the lineup for me in Arizona is not good enough to overcome a bad rotation. Part of the reason
Oh
this
yeah.
team was considered so good was because they had a Zac Gallen, a Corbin Burnes, a Merrill Kelly, and then a who's who after that, including a Brandon Pfaadt, who, like I said, everybody was high on. But there's not much there if those guys aren't pitching like the guys we thought they would be at the beginning of the season.
Well, there's also the reality too of like it's unfortunate for the Diamondbacks. They can't afford in that division to not be firing on all cylinders. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
even worse for them, right? Like they cannot
Mm-hmm.
be in the NL West and they can't just get by with an offense. You just can't. And then you look at this rotation and here's the silver lining, I think. Like we may have talked about this actually for the season. We were talking about starting pitchers and
Mm-hmm.
like Zac Gallen and Merrill Kelly. Like honestly, those are 2 guys that could turn it on like that. They really
Yeah.
could. They've done it in their careers. They have the stuff. They just have that oomph about them.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could turn it on. Give them a couple weeks, maybe we have a different story. But beyond that, though, you get beyond Gallen and Kelly, there's nothing. Like you said, there's Pfaadt, and then there's trying to fill in with a Shelby Miller, guys I've literally never heard of in my life, Parker. Like this gets really scary for D-backs fans after that.
For sure. Do you know how many starting pitchers are on roster resource right now for the Diamondbacks? Three.
3.
Zac Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt.
That is terrifying, friends.
That
Wow.
is horrifying. That is horrifying. I don't know, man.
Oh,
I truly do hope that, first of all, we don't know what the extent of the injury is for Corbin Burnes. And I hope that it's not much. I hope it's a couple starts and he's back, because the Diamondbacks frankly need it. And the worst part about all of this for me is that this is really through no fault of the Diamondbacks or their ownership or their front office, because the Diamondbacks saw we have a young lineup that is ready to rock and roll. So what do? Okay, well, last year we're going to sign Eduardo Rodriguez and Jordan Montgomery. Both of them maybe reaches, but both of them two of the better free agents in the pitching class last offseason. So it's like, okay, get what we can get. And then this offseason, they go out and they sign the pitching name on the market, depending on how you viewed Max Fried, and they brought Corbin Burnes on board. So it's like they have done everything that they felt like they needed to do. They have supplemented the bullpen, brought in a guy like Kendall Graveman. Torey Lovullo is out there managing his ass off on every given night. And unfortunately, it's like not the injury bug, man. The injury bug, like Jordan Montgomery's down. Eduardo Rodriguez is down. Corbin Burnes is down. It's Zac Gallen and a 36-year-old Merrill Kelly, who those guys just haven't been putting up the numbers that we wanted them to.
I mean, this is huge for them. They have to turn it around quickly here in June. They can't afford to wait, because the NL is not going to be, it's going to be an interesting wild card in the National League.
It's a very, very talented NL.
Very talented NL. And right now they're hanging on to 4th place in the NL West at 6.5 games behind the Dodgers. So they're not entirely out of it. There's a lot of games left, but you can't fall back on the wild card, friends. That's not like it was 10 years ago. So we'll see what happens there with the D-backs, something we'll be following. I want to go to the American League West, Parker, because shit, did things just get interesting in the AL West? Parker, the Astros, I need them to go away. I keep saying they're going to go away, and these son of a bitches just creep back in here. It's driving me nuts.
Yeah, they absolutely refuse to die, man. They refuse to die, and I don't get it. Now, I don't think that this will last. I think that there's a team that we're going to talk about here in a second that will eventually catch them, because this is a weirdly successful season for one particular team in the AL West that I don't think we saw coming. But yeah, the Astros refuse to die. And a lot of the reason that they keep coming back is their ability to just get production out of guys that you just, I guess you weren't really counting on it, right? Because if I look at their lineup, like I wasn't expecting a ton out of Jeremy Pena, Isaac Paredes, Jose Altuve, Christian Walker, Yainer Diaz. This is like their entire roster. I mean, shit, their outfield is fronted by Jake Myers, Cam Smith, and Jacob Melton. Like this is their lineup that they're running out on a daily basis. And the crazy part is it's working for them. It's working for them. They surprising to say the least, but I just don't see it sticking around for very long, to be completely honest.
Well, I'd have to agree with you, and it's going to be hard for that to stick around going up against one of the hottest teams in baseball, the Seattle Mariners, and Cal Raleigh, who is otherworldly right now. Mm-hmm. I knew Cal had this in him, but not quite to this degree. This is something next level for Cal.
Cal Raleigh is, as of this point, it may have changed, but a few days ago coming into play, he was on pace for 64 homers. Jeez. As a catcher who doesn't play every day in the single worst hitting ballpark in all of baseball.
Wow.
And not only is he hitting, he plays really good defense. Top half of the league in blocks above average. Every single pitcher on his staff raves about him. He's handling the pitching staff incredibly well, and he's swinging the bat unlike basically anybody we have seen. Do you want to know, first of all, right now, Cal Raleigh's home run total, he sits at 23 homers. 23 homers through, how many games has he played? 60 games. Yeah, 60 games. So do you know who the last person to hit 23 homers through 60 games for the Seattle Mariners was?
Ken Griffey Jr.
Ken Griffey Jr. And anytime, not to be like the typical baseball talking head guy who's going to be like, anytime you do this for this team, anytime you do anything that puts you in the same conversation as the kid in Seattle, we are talking about an all-time team, all-time player. He is currently leading all of Major League Baseball with 23 home runs. And in a year that Aaron Judge is doing what he's doing, that is incredibly impressive. Already has 46 RBIs and 3.4 baseball reference wins above replacement, which last year his total was 4.7. He's going to shatter that by the All-Star break at this point.
Wow. You know, I got a feel for Cal and other players that are in these situations because, like, think about how much these guys bust their ass in this sport to have a season like this. And you're not even going to be able to sniff an MVP because of Aaron Judge. If Aaron Judge wasn't even on this planet, we're talking about Cal for MVP, and it just sucks that we're not because we know what's going to happen.
I mean, Bobby Wood Jr. did it last year, and he just, what are you going to do against the 6'7" Titanic of a man in the Bronx? Made a video about him this week too, by the way.
We're just plugs all day, people. Watch all Parker's videos. They're honestly a lot better than the bullshit we talk about here. So please go watch his videos. Oh my goodness. So I'm excited, Parker. I want to wrap up so we can move on to the main stuff. But Jac Caglianone. I am so excited for this guy, and I'm even more excited, Parker, because I'm going to the Sox game on Saturday. They're playing the Royals, and I want to see a Jac home run. That would be awesome.
Yeah, did you see his first Major League at bat?
No, I did not.
Absolutely smoked a ball into the right center field gap. Any other time, I think the expected batting average of it was over 800. It did end up getting tracked down right before the warning track. But he was absolutely tearing it up in the minor leagues. I'm trying to pull up his minor league stats right now, but he was
50 games.
It was yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, 50 games with in the minors this year. That's 15 homers. We're looking at 222, 389, 593 with a 159 weighted runs created plus. Guys, that's 15 homers in 50 games. We're talking about on pace of 45-50 in a full MLB season. Hello.
Mm-hmm. 982 OPS for him in the minor leagues. Yeah, you got to call that guy up.
Wow.
You got to call that guy up. In fact, he probably could have gotten called up from AA. He was absolutely mashing in AA, and they decided they were going to call him up to the AAA affiliate. In AAA, in just 12 games of AAA baseball, it's 54 plate appearances, 15 hits, a double, and 6 homers.
My goodness.
He slugged 723 in AAA upon getting called up. So they were like, you're forcing our hand. Our outfield's weak as it is. Bring this guy up. And you know what the cool part about Jac Caglianone too was when he was playing at Florida last year during their impressive World Baseball Classic College World Series run, he was a two-way player. He was playing, he was DHing and he was pitching. They have converted him into an outfield / first baseman. But think about a world where like you're losing by like 16 and you bring a position player in, bring in Jac, man. Like he's actually going to give you competitive at-bats out there. So yeah, especially in a world where run differential matters, because I believe it's part of the tiebreaker process now. Like, yeah, now you've got like this guy who just throws 95 like it's nothing, and you can bring him in the end of a game. On top of the fact that he is 6'5" and hits absolute bombs. Cannot wait for his first big league hit.
I'm having kind of a minor existential crisis because the White Sox had a chance to get Jac Caglianone and instead drafted Hagen Smith, and Hagen Smith cannot throw the ball right now in the minors. So let me just
I'm okay with
for
Hagen.
a second.
He's going to be okay. I don't know why you wouldn't draft Jac though, because I was hoping that Jac would fall to the Red Sox.
I'm not trying to like play revisionist history. When the draft happened and I saw Hagen Smith's name pop up instead of Jac Caglianone, because I was on Jac Caglianone this whole time. I was excited about him when we were.
Which pick did you guys have?
we had pick, I believe it was 5 or 6.
He was drafted 6th. So yeah, it must have been 5. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had 5. So yeah, I mean, when I saw his name pop up instead of Jack, I was like, hey, okay. And Chris Getz, we trust, but it's just days like this that I'm like, what
Yeah.
are you gonna do?
Yeah.
All right, Parker, you had a really cool experience at
Yeah.
Angel Stadium watching the Savannah Bananas. So how did it go down? How was it? Tell us about it.
Dude, it was awesome. So we showed up to a little bit, actually, we showed up a little later than I would have wanted to. The game, so the advertised start time is not actually the game start time. It is the show start time. And the show started at 6:30, and they do like a really prolonged team announcement. They do a bunch of antics on the field. Angel Stadium, by the way, I skated over that. I saw them in Angel Stadium, and they packed the house on back-to-back nights. 45,000 screaming fans.
Wow.
And the entire time, it is just vibes through the roof. Now, this is the way I've explained it to everybody who's asked me how it was. I think there's a little bit of innate skepticism among people who see only the social clips of the Savannah Bananas online. And rightfully so, because it seems like it's impossible for this group of guys, this group of college age and minor league age guys, to go out and be genuine with that much energy for a full 2.5 hour, 3 hour show. I am here to tell you, they are genuine. Every single one of them is so bought into the product they are putting on the field, so amped to be out there doing their thing. At any given moment, there is a million things going on the field at a Savannah Bananas game. There's like a dance party going on by one dugout, a dance battle going on in the other dugout. They're probably having a little baby race on the field. And during all of that, you would expect the players to be like kind of taking their built-in breaks, taking their moment to like kind of catch their breath, stand out in the field and get ready to field the next ball, because the baseball that is being played is very real, like real baseball that's happening. But no, they are not taking their breaks. They're doing backflips. They are jumping around. They are dancing. They are on the mic, screaming, running through the stands, high-fiving people the entire time. The players don't even go in the dugout. They are outside the dugout entertaining the entire time. Smiles on their faces, screaming and yelling, singing along. It is an amazing fan experience, an amazing experience for my kids. My son is 6 years old. All he knows is that baseball is the thing that I put on the TV all the time. And he went and he had so much fun, because there's no point in time where he wanted to sit down. He was on his feet for 3 hours, screaming and yelling, dancing around, and just having the most amazing time.
Man, I mean that's cool, especially for the kids, right? Anything to get them
Yeah.
into baseball even a little bit, and that's exciting to hear. And hey, I mean, no doubt about it, they're such a unique outfit, a unique entertainment product that really we haven't seen any before. I mean, you think about, maybe you compare them to other sports, you compare them to like a Harlem Globetrotters, but this is even beyond that times 10.
Yeah.
And so
because like they're playing real ball. Like they can lose, and they do lose all the time. And there's now this is like an established competitive circuit where there's 4 teams now. There's the Bananas, everybody knows, the Power Animals, which a lot of people also know. But then there's also the Firefighters, who I saw play against the Bananas in Angel Stadium. And now they have the Texas Tailgaters. And like they're playing, there's going to be like a league championship, and they're going to expand and bring more teams in and tour the country doing even more. And to me, this is one of the coolest things that could have happened in baseball. I honestly did not think the baseball being played on the field was going to be as compelling as it was. But like first at bat, first of all, the first pitch was thrown out by USC national champion Matt Leinart, goes out and throws a football for the first pitch, but the first pitch counted. So he threw the first pitch. It was, the umpire made a call. It was a strike. And the first batter of the game for the Firefighters started off with an 0-1 count. It was so like, how do you generate buy-in on a first pitch? Just like that. Like it is so simple and so fun. First batter of the game comes up for the Firefighters. he smokes a ball into the right center field gap. And the right fielder for the Bananas, wearing a Superman cape the whole time, full extension, like one of the most incredible catches I have ever seen, college, MLB, Bananas, what have you, full extension, lays out and catches this ball with a Superman cape on. And from that moment, I was like, oh shit, this is real. Like, they're playing ball. Yes, they have a weird scoring system. You win innings and you win that way. Doesn't matter. The baseball being played on the field is so compelling.
It's really exciting, Parker. It's exciting that they're doing all this traveling and people are getting really into it. But I feel like something's wrong with me, honestly, because I had a realization a couple weeks ago when I got an email from the White Sox, because they're coming to Rate Field in August, and of course, if you're a season ticket holder, you get early access. And so I got the email for the early access. And Parker, something must be wrong with me, and I wish I knew what it was, because I love that you loved it. I love that your family loved it. I love that people loved it. I don't know what it is, but there's nothing in me that's saying, get those tickets. You have to go see it. I have not bought tickets. I have not. And I don't know why. But there's something
It's
inside
just
of me
not
that's
that
like not.
appealing.
No. And I don't know why it is. I wish I knew. But other people's energy have been like, yeah, I have to go see this. And I'm like, if I go, I go. If I don't, I don't. And I
Yeah.
wish I didn't feel that way, but I do.
Okay.
Is it me? I don't know.
I'll tell you that even like the baseball is a really big drawing factor for me. I think that it was important to me that the ball looked legit. And it is. Like, they're doing backflips and they're bouncing the ball between their legs and their throw to first, but like, it's full speed. They're playing ball. And the part that got me too is how, like, the corporation that is owned by the owner of the Bananas, that this whole organization falls underneath, is called Fans First LLC or something like that. And they truly, truly embody that on the field. Before or during the game, they plugged their charity, bananas, foster bananas foster, something along those lines. And they've put thousands and thousands of foster children into care through their charity and things like that. And the fact that they're able to tie that in a really real and like engaging way. Like, I cried at several different times during the show, not like bawling my eyes out, but like tears in my eyes, because my son is sitting there watching this game. And not only do I can trust that the product on the field is fun for me to watch and cool for him to watch, but it's also just like good for him to see people having so much genuine fun playing a game that, up until very recently, you know this better than anybody, has been called the boring sport. And there is nothing boring about this sport that they are playing on the field. And I think that that's the part that really appeals to me. And just, for me, it's the kids. Getting the kids so bought in on the game that I love and growing the game the way that they have, that's the part that gets to me. And also, we joined the lottery for 3 consecutive years and did not win the chance to even try to buy tickets. And finally did. And that was why we got to go. So that it was like, when we won, my wife turned to me and was like, clear your schedule. We're going. And I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, that's obviously a big part of it too, right? You get the opportunity. That's awesome. That's really cool. That speaks volumes to what kind of the whole organization is doing, and how it's kind of changing the game and making it more compelling. And Parker, I will say this: I am certainly getting into one other little side baseball thing that's happening, and that's that Major League Baseball has partnered with Kim Ng's Athletics Unlimited Softball League. They've invested. They are supporting this new startup women's softball league, professional league. And Parker, I'm really excited about that. Let me break it down for people. First off, it is a professional softball league. Secondly, there are 4 teams, okay, in this league. And they, for the first season, are traveling essentially to 4 or 5 different locations and playing a short 24, 25, 6 kind of season to determine the winner of this Players' Choice Cup. And after this season, they plan to expand. And I am super pumped because I am going to get to Rosemont, Illinois, 25 minutes away from me, where they're playing some of these games. And what a cool idea. I knew this was in the works. We knew that Kim Eng was going over here, but to see it come to fruition has been super neat.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it's like this touring show. I like this model, and I mentioned it with the
Yeah.
bananas, but I like the AUSL doing it especially too, because you don't necessarily grow a sport like softball by having a home stadium where you play, and like, yeah, you might foster a fan base in, wherever they're playing, like for instance, Rosemont, Illinois, and Wichita, Kansas are two of the places they're playing regular season games in. You might drive a fan base, in that area. But when you tour, now that just exposes you to a whole host of different people. And the thing that gets me with the Major League Baseball investment and what this translates to is a 20% ownership stake in the league. But you know what I just realized when I pulled up the AUSL website? They are playing on Saturday, June 7th. They are playing in two different locations in Rosemont, Illinois, and they're playing in Wichita, Kansas. They are going to be televising the games on MLB.com.
Yes.
And the 4:30
Yes.
p.m. or 7:30 Eastern game on Saturday between the Volts and the Blaze will be on MLB Network.
Like Parker, I'm glad you bring that up. I want us to really just focus on this for a second. Like, I think there's a market for this. A
I do too.
huge market. Like, I'm going to come out and say it. I would probably spend more time at these parks watching these badass girls play softball. I am so into it. I would get so into it. If they had a legit league, I would watch it like I do the White Sox. I would follow it. I would have favorite players. I'm already on their socials. Like, sign me up, dude. This is really freaking cool.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the investment by MLB and by the commitment by Kim Ing especially to they didn't need them to legitimize it, but frankly, like that's kind of what's happening, right? They're legitimizing this into being the first professional, really truly invested in professional softball league. And you know the coolest part is their playoffs start, or excuse me, the last game of the regular season, I should say, is June 14th. When does the Women's College World Series? It's going on right now. I'm pretty sure it ends soon, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, wait, hold on a second. No, their last game is
their
July
last game
9th.
is not June 14th.
Yeah, July 9th.
July 9th. Okay, so that's even better. What I was going to point out was, July 17th, July 18th. They're going a lot later than that. July 23rd. July 23rd.
Wait, really?
Last couple?
Oh, yeah. I kept pushing load more, and I thought it stopped.
So did I. So their last set of regular season games is going to be July 23rd at Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and Rosemont, Illinois. I'm pretty sure by then the Women's College World Series is going to be over. I wonder if we're going to see some of those players get drafted and join these teams mid-season. Like, that's super compelling to me. The whole Paul Skeens narrative of like winning the national championship, getting drafted and getting called up to the major leagues within a calendar year. We're going to see that in a microcosm in this AUSL. And I think that's awesome because the highest level of competitive softball you've been able to watch to this point is the Women's College World Series. Well, now this gives the opportunity to let that like hype like steamroll right into the AUSL playoffs, and we get to watch a 3-day tournament of the best teams in the AUSL. Well, I guess all 4 teams of the AUSL compete for their championship, and it's going to be on ESPN2. So like, this is sick, man. This is so cool.
It's so cool, and like, I don't think people realize this. Like, I'll watch collegiate softball because they're so
it's electric,
exciting. It is electric. I mean, these girls get really into it. They're talented as all get out. And I'll tell you what, like, I have a lot to learn. I'm right. They have a media guide. I've been reading through it, looking up at the rules, because guess what? Unless someone tells me the rules are different or I see that they're different, we're going in with baseball frame of reference. So like, we have a learning curve ourselves, but man, I cannot wait to get my 2 girls and my wife. We're going to a game this summer. We're going to get over to Rosemont. I am so energized by this, and I really want my girls to hopefully get into it. If they do, that would be great.
At risk of getting emotional, I'll say, so my daughter, my son just finished his t-ball season, and the whole time my son was playing t-ball, he's 6 years old. My 2-year-old daughter, we bought her a pink helmet, we bought her a pink bat. She was so excited to go to the park every time it was for a practice or a game. And if this does half of what it could to legitimize the sport of softball, get my daughter into it, I'm telling you right now, I will be an encyclopedia of knowledge about softball. I will know every rule. I have one thing that like, I obviously did not make it past college baseball. I am not a professional baseball player, but I do have aspirations that like later on I want to coach. I coach my son's t-ball team. I want to coach him throughout his whole career. If my daughter's playing softball, best believe I will be on the sideline with her the entire time. And like, frankly, for the dads, for the moms, for the parents, for the supporting characters in the softball community, this gives such a great outlet to learn the game, become invested in the game. Like you said, pick up on the rules. And like, there's an end goal now for these girls. There's an end goal. It doesn't end at the senior year college World Series. Yep. Now there's something else to aspire to. And that's such a good thing. There's going to be naysayers. There's going to be haters. This is such a fucking good thing. And you know what? If you want to go see a softball game, if you want to go see the highest level softball you have the opportunity of watching, the tickets are $20 fucking dollars, and they're playing this weekend. So go get one. Give it a shot, because I'm going to be watching.
Man, that's I'm excited just talking about it, man. I heard this news, it was huge in this house for sure, and I know it was for you guys too. But with something we'll be following, and you best believe when I get to a game here soon, I'm going to be posting pics like a madman.
For sure.
Parker, I kind of want to give you we do. I kind of want to give you the floor for a little bit. Let me set the stage for the folks. I wanted to really have a heart-to-heart with you and give you a moment to vent about your Boston Red Sox, because, friends, I think we all know Parker was cautiously optimistic coming into 2025, and for good reason. And for those of you who have not watched Parker's fantastic Red Sox video, please go do that. But Parker, shit's really hit the fan. They are, if you look at their record right now, they are sitting at 30 and 34, now 9 games out of the division. And we need to have a conversation, I think, in this house, set this up for you. Where do they go from here? Like, what does the rest of the season look like that in your eyes would constitute a successful 2025?
So I covered a lot of this in the video that you mentioned earlier. It's like 15 minutes long on the YouTube channel. I highly suggest you give it a watch. But what I'll say, and what I said in the video, is when you trade for Garrett Crochet and you only have 2 years of control, that is nothing but a win now move. When you sign Alex Bregman 1 year before his first opt-out, and an opt-out every season of this $40 million a year deal, that's a win now move. You move Rafael Devers off of his natural position, move into DH, win now move. You start the season with your absolute phenom of a young player prospect in Christian Campbell on the opening day roster. Win now move. And all of this leading up to opening day was like crack cocaine for Red Sox fans who have had to sit through year after year after year of 500 or worse baseball since the World Series win in 2018, with that one outlier season of 2021. And when all of those moves that happened right leading up to opening day, what did they say to the fans? They said, we're here. We are ready to party. We're ready to win now, and we're going to try to do that. But what happened week 1 of the season? In week 1 of the season, Garrett Crochet extension. He's going to be around for 8 years. Christian Campbell extension. He's going to be around for 8 years. And then it started to, I think at that moment, the urgency left the room, because It no
Yeah.
longer was, we have to make the playoffs this year because we have Bregman and we have Crochet. It no longer was that. And it more turned into, okay, we have cornerstone pieces. We have people to build around. We have the number 1 prospect in baseball who has yet still to make his debut. We have the number 5 prospect in baseball or number 8 prospect in baseball in Marcelo Meyer, who at the time had yet to make his debut. And I think what the extensions did was remove a sense of urgency from the front office that maybe would have led to a better roster construction at this particular point in the season. Because what have we seen so far? Christian Campbell kind of had a great first month, and the league adjusts, and he's had a subpar second month and into June of this season. He's the worst qualified hitter in Major League Baseball whenever Trevor Story decides to let him grab that and pull it from his hands. And that's another thing that's going wrong. You know, Trevor Story is not playing great baseball, and Alex Bregman goes down with an injury, and all these things compound on top of each other.
Yes.
To now less incentivize going for it this season and more incentivize, well, let's see what we have in Marcelo Meyer. Let's see what we have in Roman Anthony.
Right. I mean, the pitching is doing them no favors. They're 24th in ERA right now for their starters. And if your name's not Garrett Crochet, you're struggling. So I just, one of the things I think about when I think about this team, and I saw this on social the other day, I actually sent it to you. Someone was talking about like, oh, hey, here are some ideas for Jaron Duran trade packages. And my first reaction was, calm the F down. All right.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. The Red Sox aren't doing that. But, however, if this continues going into the trade deadline, what would you want to see them do?
I want to see him trade Jaron Duran. I actually kind of want to see him trade both Jaron Duran and Wilyer Abreu.
Now, okay, so let's pause there for a second. Makes sense from a Roman Anthony standpoint. Get that.
It's not just Roman Anthony.
Who else?
Nate Eaton is doing pretty well in AAA, and not to mention,
really,
Nate Eaton's doing pretty well at AAA. And he's not a guy that I'm focusing on as like a centerpiece moving forward, but he has a good depth piece. Rob Refsnyder's on his way out the door. He's been trying to retire for like 5 fucking years now at this point. So you got another bench bat, another option off the bench. But the guy that I'm actually really excited about in the minor league system for the Red Sox just got called up to AAA a day or two ago, and his name's Blaze Jordan. And Blaze Jordan was 14 years old hitting nukes in Chase Field, and is only 22 years old because he was a high school draftee. And now has absolutely torn it up in AA Portland, got called up to AAA. We're going to see where he's at. So what I'm getting at is there are these assets that the Red Sox currently have at the big league level. The team is not competitive at this particular point. So what do I think you do? Clear house. Trade fucking everybody. I want to see Jaron Duran gone. I want to see Wilyer Abreu gone. I want to see Alex Bregman traded. I want to see Walker Buehler traded. You have all of these guys who, the young guys who are controllable, can genuinely get insanely good returns. And then at the trade deadline, when you talk about a guy like Alex Bregman, who was, if not for the existence of Aaron Judge, the MVP frontrunner in the American League up until his injury, he's a guy who's going to opt out. I think he's just going to opt out after this season. Trade him. Let him contribute to a playoff team. You know he can perform in the playoffs. Walker Buehler also won a 1-year deal, a prove-it deal, a platform year. One of the best postseason pitchers of the last 4 or 5 seasons. Trade him as well for a team about to make a run. I think there's the opportunity here to have one of the most productive trade deadlines in Red Sox, if not recent baseball history, if the Red Sox fully decide that we are going to chalk this year up, call up Roman Anthony, let him start getting big league at bats, DFA Trevor Story, get his money off the books, get below the salary cap by trading away an Alex Bregman and a Walker Buehler, and then just see what happens.
I don't know. That sounds really ballsy and risky to me. And here's why I say that is like, you go one or two ways. You're essentially rebuilding the roster or retooling this roster. To me, retooling is we can make one of those trades, right? We can make one of those trades. We can even do a MLB talent for MLB talent trade.
Mm-hmm.
Or we can, like you said, trade for a handful of guys whatever, and then see what happens in the offseason and give it a couple years. But whatever way you go, you're pot committed to that way. And
Mm-hmm.
and you could find yourself in a scenario, and this is where I get nervous, is you don't compete for another 3 years and you're almost halfway through a Christian Campbell and a Garrett Crochet contract. That makes me nervous.
Yeah.
So, like, would you rather, Parker, as an alternative, as a fan, not saying that this would happen, but say the Red Sox went to the Red Sox of old and said, this offseason, we're going to try to get a Kyle Tucker. We're going to try to get a backup catcher, and we're going to try to get a Kyle Schwarber or someone for DH. Obviously, that wouldn't make sense with Devers, but you get what I'm saying. If we were to add a couple big
like
name
a
guys,
first base, a corner infielder with a big bat.
correct. Pete Alonso opts out. He's coming to you. Great. Like, would you rather have that and try to go for this thing now than resetting because you had one bad, you know what I mean? Like, I think they're not far enough to me to tear it down. They're not that far.
Yes, I agree. I think
except for the pitching.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. So the hardest thing to acquire in Major League Baseball is pitching, at least in season.
Yes.
I don't want Sandy Alcantara right now. He's the worst qualified starter in Major League Baseball. Every other major starting pitcher that looks to be hitting the market, I'm kind of not really that interested in. That's going to be a problem in the offseason as well. Don't get me wrong. I think you would need to literally sell the whole farm just to bring in somewhat quality pitching. I think the bullpen, genuinely, too far gone now to supplement. I think you have too many key guys that you absolutely need to be centerpiece arms in that bullpen that are already at 25, 26, 27 appearances before we've even gotten halfway through June, which means they've used up half their tank of gas and we're not even at the All-Star break yet. And if we're truly competing, that means a deep playoff run, and those guys are going to make another 15 plus appearances in the postseason when starters are only going 4 innings. We got lucky this season, actually, in several different ways. Carlos Narvaez looks like he's going to be the catcher of the future for this Red Sox team. Out of nowhere. A lot of Red Sox fans did not even know where he came from. He was traded from the Yankees on the day of the Crochet signing, or the Crochet trade. And then they also got lucky in a guy like Hunter Dobbins, who prior to this season was very ineffective in the minor leagues. His sinker was one of the worst pitchers in minor league baseball. And then he retooled his sinker to make it a splinker. And he's been very good at the big league level. Where am I going with this? I don't even think that there is enough there right now to make a run this season. I genuinely do not. I think Jaron Duran is going to come down to earth and have a 5 WAR season. He's not going to have the 8.7 WAR season he had last year. Wilyer Abreu is streaky at best, but he is a very good bat. If you can get him in the right system with the right people to line up with protection in the lineup, I think he can seriously produce. And that's kind of like the consensus around the league from what I've been reading on things like MLB trade rumors and listening to Jeff Passan and stuff like that. I think that there's enough value here that they have not pegged as you're the future of this team, that you have to get some value for it. Because at the end of the year, let me phrase it to you this way. If at the end of the year, the Red Sox finish below 500, which it looks like what if they finish 77 wins? Walker Buehler walks, Alex Bregman opts out. We're retooling the roster anyway. We're rebuilding anyway. Now we have a Roman Anthony we need to find a spot on the roster for. And we have a Blaze Jordan who presumably, and then this is a big assumption, but mashes in AAA. We need to find a spot on the roster for him. So where do we fill holes? I think you look at, like, we just talked about the Diamondbacks. I think they would bite on a Walker Buehler trade, and I think there's enough value on the Red Sox roster to get a guy like Jordan Lawler to play third base for the Red Sox moving forward. And now you have Marcelo Meyer at short, Christian Campbell at second, a Jordan Lawler at third. Then you referenced earlier, maybe get, a 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 year deal for a guy like a Pete Alonso or a Kyle Schwarber to go play first base or DH for you. Maybe you convince Rafael Devers to put a glove on and play first. Who knows? But I think that there's enough outfield young talent. Like, genuinely, Ceddanne Rafaela is like the best defensive center fielder in baseball right now, and he's kind of figuring out how to swing the bat. So I think the outfield is set. But what needs to happen is pitching needs to be acquired and the infield needs to be completely renovated. And to me, there's
So
enough extra value in the outfield to do it with.
agreed. I agree with you. I think the value's there. That value, because it's there, though, I feel like you need to do it now for next season, not for
Yes, I
2-3
agree.
years down the line. Like they could, if you trade a Jaron Duran, you can get a quality starter, no doubt about that.
Yeah, for
Go ahead
sure.
and do that. That's
You
great.
could, yes, you go to the right team that has enough pitching. I think you come away with like number two.
Yeah, potentially, absolutely. You throw in a couple pieces with Duran. I think that's what you get, and so you do that, and you sign a couple of these free agents, whatever. You develop some
This is a
pitchers.
Dylan Cease platform year, isn't it? Like he's going to hit the
It,
market.
it sure is. Dylan
Mm-hmm.
Cease, Zach Gallen.
Michael
I know
King.
he's not Michael King. Even if you wanted to take a flyer on someone like a Shane Bieber, right, or a Brandon
Mm-hmm.
Woodruff who's coming
That's a
back from an
perfect
injury, and
1 to
he'll be
2 year
good.
deal guy kind of guy.
Right, right. So like, I know people watching your video were probably like, and this is not you, this is them being like, oh shit, we really screwed the pooch this year. Now we're gonna have to do all this resetting, and who knows how long it's gonna take. Guys, if you just get pitching, you have enough of this depth that we've been talking about for months now, where you can trade a Darren Duran, you have the depth, you still have talented pieces, but this does not have to be a rebuild situation. And I would hate to see them at the deadline trade Wilbur, Duran, and then some, and all these other guys just to kind of reset. That they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be resetting at this point.
I think that the thing that gets me with like a Jaron Duran, the reason I want to trade Jaron Duran now is because this is a guy who has had his struggles at the big league level. He really broke out in a huge way last year and has started to really hit over the last couple of weeks this year. But the problem with that I see with Jaron Duran is, how does he make his production, where does he get his value? From his speed. Well, you know better than anybody, speed guys deteriorate quicker than any other kind of player. And so I just don't see Jaron Duran's value persisting through the window and into the window that actually represents real World Series contention for this team. I think they would have already signed him to an extension, or at least leaked the fact that they were trying to sign him to an extension if that was the intention. I think they already are planning on him walking. So if that's the case, get something for him. If you don't capitalize on the value that Jaron Duran built up last season, and then he ends up being a 2 and 3 WAR player over the next couple of years, and you get nothing for him, either he walks or you get like a bullpen arm for him at a trade deadline sometime down the road, you're going to have missed out on one of the best like trade opportunities in recent history. So I'm personally on a sell high on some assets. That's where I'm at right now.
I know. I think it's a good call. And you know what? Really good call on the potential career trajectory of Duran. And to me, the best comparison for that is you think of Jacoby Ellsbury.
Yes.
That is Jaron
Duran's
Duran.
my favorite player on the Boston Red Sox. I love Jaron Duran. But if I want my Red Sox to be competitive moving forward, that's kind of what happens. That, in my opinion, you have to. And Jacoby Ellsbury was my favorite player when he was here as well.
And again, guy that just kind of what you said, right? Deteriorated as the years gone down. That speed went away. The hit tool went away. Defense was but I mean, the defense was always slightly above average, but everything kind of dwindled with Jacoby. And I think that is a very similar path you could see Duran on.
Yeah, I think you need to sell high on him right now, especially over this last week. He hit 2 doubles in 2 consecutive games over the last couple games against the Angels. We're going to see what happens in this Yankee series. I think after the Yankee series, here's my prediction. I think the Red Sox get swept in this Yankee series.
Yeah.
I mean, you're bringing the hottest hitter in the world, a righty, and to go hit at Fenway Park. I think Aaron Judge single-handedly dismantles. Walker Buehler's on the mound. He's got a 4.4 ERA. Walker Buehler's on the mound for the opener. I think the Yankees sweep the Red Sox. The Red Sox sitting at 13 games out of the division. At that point, I think it's like, all right, sell it all.
Is Crochet not pitching in that series?
If Walker is actually, he might. I still don't know though, man. That's the.
I'll tell you what, Crochet. Don't get me wrong. He's had an excellent season. However, couple innings this season, the wheels have fallen off on him.
The
It's
first
few
inning
and
in
far
particular.
between. But right, the first inning, he's had a few first innings this year, and it could be against the Yankees. He has another one potentially. Good lineups.
So, okay, it's not out of the question for the Red Sox. I mean, shit, if they could do some damage against the Yankees. Looking now at the projected starters, Walker Buehler goes against Will Warren. Will Warren is sporting a 5 ERA this season. Walker Buehler goes against Will Warren in the opener on Friday. Then on Saturday night, it's Garrett Crochet versus Ryan Yarbrough. I'm gonna give that game to the Red Sox because Crochet Yarbrough, that's just a pretty lopsided. Now the third game, I'm a little bit skeptical about because we have Hunter Dobbins going against Carlos Rodon. Rodon has looked very good this season, and Dobbins is very good first time through the order. And then after that, it's like a 350 batting average against for him.
Lovely.
So if I'm a psychopath, I could pick 2 out of 3 for the Red Sox. I just don't. I don't see enough fight from this Red Sox team. I'm telling you right now, though, and I am not one of these people calling for Alex Cora's job, but if they get swept by the Yankees, the noise, and already the noise in the fan base is super hostile to Alex Cora. I love Alex Cora. Name me a better alternative right now on the manager market. I don't think there is one. His job, he just got signed to a 3-year extension, and I think that might be the only reason that he wouldn't get fired if it's a severely below 500 season.
Parker, wow, that's funny because like 3 months ago we would not even have been talking about this. It wouldn't even have been in our brains, but I'm a firm believer of whether it's in baseball or in business or in any part of life, leadership does have an expiration date. I think it does expire. And I think in baseball, you can manage a team for 8, 10, 12 years, but change is important. And I kind of wonder if you're right. I kind of wonder if you're going to move on with these young players and build this nucleus of a team, if it really needs to be Cora.
If even Joe Torre can be pseudo fired by the Yankees, for which he won so many World Series, to me, nobody's job safe. Especially imagine a world where the Red Sox continue this trajectory. Let's say they finish 5 games below 500, and then we find ourselves in a similar 3 games below 500 situation at this point in the season next year. I think he's fired.
That's a good barometer. Yeah, for sure.
Because then he's only got a year left on his contract. You pay that out, you're good. He's gone. Right. Again, though, who's a better manager on the market? I don't think there is one. My thing is though that I think eventually the trajectory for Alex Cora is to be a front office guy. He's been very, very vocal about the fact he wants to end up in a front office. If he were to move into a front office role and they frame it as a promotion,
right,
I could see that being the way that they quote unquote fire the manager and then bring a new guy in. Red Sox fans are going to be all over me saying that Jason Varitek should be the manager of this team. I never want to see Jason Varitek manage this team because I think that he will be villainized immediately, and I never want to see that for Jason Varitek.
He's too legendary to go through that. It reminds me of when Robin Ventura managed the White Sox. Epic disaster.
Oh, yeah.
When you're a legend for a team, you don't want to be the final thing you do for that team is to be on shitty teams and managing those teams. That's not what you want to do.
Nobody's managerial tenure has ended on good terms except for the people who are like 85 years old and retire.
Yeah.
Frankly, look at Terry Francona. Right. Look at, like I said earlier, Joe Torre, or even a Joe Girardi in New York. Like, he kind of seemed like tailor-made for the Yankees managerial position. Won a World Series and then bye.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. All right, Parker. Last word for tonight. What's your last word?
All right. So we kind of went on for a while about the best 3 pitchers of our generation in Verlander, Kershaw, and Scherzer, all leaving the game presumably in the next year, maybe 2. And I was doing some fiddling around, and if you, and I don't want you to do it, I want you to try to guess. If you sort by 2,500 innings pitched in the last 15 years.
Oh, geez.
There are 3 results, and they are not all 3 Kershaw, Verlander, and Scherzer. Who is the third person in that search result?
Wait a second. So you're saying there's an other person that is active right now?
The mm,
Or are they
active,
not active? At least give me that.
not on a team right now, but has not retired.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Think back to the last 15 years, most consistent making starts at a productive level for several teams, much like all of the, Verlander and much like Verlander and Scherzer, not Kershaw, but I'll give you a hint.
Zach
Kershaw is
Zach
the one that's not on
Zach Zach Greinke.
it. Zach Greinke. Zach Greinke is the other
That's a
name.
good call.
Is
Wow.
the other name. Great guess. Is the other name on that list. And Zach Greinke
Wow.
is half a tick below every statistical category for all three of those gentlemen. And he doesn't get my theory, and I'm going to make a video about this in the coming week. My theory is that Zach Greinke does not get half the credit that he should for his dominance over the last 15 to 20 years, only because he's an oddball.
Wow. Okay. I was not expecting you to throw that out there. I mean, you're 100% right, though. I think he's absolutely within the conversation. Shame on us. I think part of the reason we forgot about him is because he's not active right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's active, but he's not on a team. But wow. I mean, yeah, you really look at his career stats. I just pulled them up. So 3,300 innings. You're looking at a career 3.49 ERA, 66 WAR in his career. Yeah, I mean, some of these seasons, I haven't looked at his stuff in a while, but some of his seasons, those
Like
later
he has a
Kansas City
10 WAR
Royals,
season.
he does. He does. And those like later Kansas City Royals, or excuse me, early Dodgers years,
Yeah.
263 ERA, 271, 166. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Good
He
call.
had peaks and
Good
valleys.
call.
Like he was not he was not a 2.5 ERA for a decade span like a Kershaw. But he is a guy that he'd put up a 10 WAR season and then 6 years later put up a almost 9 WAR season. And pretty consistently through his career, you could count on him. I mean, his 162 game average, 4.4 WAR. 4.4 WAR, and his 162 game average, 33 starts a season.
You're not going to see that anymore, friends.
No, you aren't. And
wow,
he over 162 games, he averages 204 innings pitched. Another thing you will just simply never see again.
No, wow, good call. Shame on us for like overlooking Grenk. Wow, sorry, Zach. Jeez.
Over. Oh my God. Yeah, it's just he put up. Think about this in 2017, 2018, and 2019. So fairly recently, 3 consecutive 200 inning seasons from Zach Greinke.
Yeah.
All of them below
Wow.
a 3.21 ERA.
Well, I'm looking forward to this video. This one's going to be interesting. So make sure everyone when that drops, you're checking that out because Parker's doing some good videos for everybody. Parker, my last word is going to be a little bit of a wacky one today. Do you remember last season, the White Sox, the best thing going for them was their new campfire milkshake at their ballpark?
Yes, I do.
Well, I did try it last year.
Oh.
Didn't really love it. I did try it last year. Of course, I got the campfire milkshake. Well, guess what I did on Wednesday night when I went to the game? I tried their new milkshake this year, Celebration Cake Shake. And it was a birthday cake shake in a 125 anniversary glass because they're celebrating 125 years of White Sox baseball. It came with kind of the maraschino cherry and the 2 little cake pieces and like the pinwheel cookie that was disgusting, hard, and gross. But the shake, not too bad. Would I ever get it again? No, because I felt like absolute shit afterwards. But I'm here for the vibes and the experience. So
was it a
cake
at the
shake,
ballpark, kind of like a Portillo's cake shake where it has cake in the shake?
It was more, I think the name was just there for the vibes, not so much for the actual description of the shake. But okay. I'll give them a pass. They're no Portillo's, friends. They're no Portillo's.
Well, I'm glad that they're doing good milkshake shit over there.
Also, I'm going to add this little last word here because you brought it up. I don't know that we ever talked about this other than for like literally 5 seconds on our spring training video. There is nothing more that I'm more proud of in my life. Okay. There's
Been taking me to
kids,
Portillo's.
wife, and then there's taking your ass to Portillo's and
It was
letting you
awesome.
just bask in the glory of what Portillo's has to offer. I did that. I was part of that. I brought Parker to Portillo's, and I'm so proud.
Yeah, you did. No, I had a great time. That was awesome. The cake shake stuck with me. That's what really stuck
Yeah.
with me.
Oh yeah, that's legit. It is legit. Oh goodness. All right, folks. Parker is continuing to put out some really good content, some good deep dives on some stuff. So make sure you're checking that out. And also, um, from us to you, big thank you to everyone who's been following and listening. We've been really just jumping up our subscriber count. Just in a couple weeks, we went from less than 80 to 140 subscribers, which is
Yeah,
pretty
we've
awesome.
almost
So
doubled in the last 2 weeks.
I mean, that's awesome. We appreciate all of you guys. You know, we're just two guys who really love the sport, talking baseball each and every week, and we're going to continue to do that. This may be a good time, Parker, while we're talking about content, to share preemptively. I won't give away too much, but Parker and I really love Star Wars. I'm not sure if you guys knew
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, I always had the Star Wars background, and when I get my stuff and my shit in order here, I will again. It'll look much cooler. But we wanted an outlet to talk about not only baseball, but Star Wars. So soon here, we will be sharing content on a new late night Star Wars channel. We are very excited about it. We're going to have some special guests, some new faces joining us for that, for some great Star Wars content. So if you like the baseball stuff, we're not going anywhere. But if you like Star Wars too, you'll have a place to check that out. So Parker, I'm super stoked about that.
Yeah, we maybe should have done the Star Wars thing first. Because we have probably more interesting guests to bring
Yes.
on that we could convince to come on in the Star
Oops.
Wars world than we do baseball. But yeah, no, I'm super excited, man. Really good friend of mine, Jesse, is hopefully going to be coming on board in a more permanent type role and putting out content with us. And I couldn't be more pumped.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Well, it seems more fitting to say, everyone, have a great evening. We'll catch you next week. May the force be with you. Take care, everybody.